Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts, EEARTS, Heart's Home Family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, guys, if you go over to Evolutionary, you're going to see it's a lonely channel. There's only one video up over there, and it's a prayer meditation mantra to remove the darkness that oppresses us and heal the world. And that's because they gave us quick 2 strikes over there, and it really was interesting because it really did seem like we posted some Patreon only videos, and then boom, we got like these strikes appearing on Evolutionary. But please do stay subscribed to all 3 channels, and we are on Brighteon, Rumble, and Bitchute as well. And everywhere has its own sort of issues, to speak, when it comes to getting things through. So on Patreon, we had talked about that movie that's so controversial. And so there will be regular Patreon-only material going up over there. And we want to invite you to join us over there if you haven't already. So we could see America under attack. Yeah, absolutely. Currently, multiple firefighters are actively engaged combating a 4-alarm fire that erupted at an abandoned Kmart store in Portland, Oregon, as you can see. Now, was it just some crazy accident? Was it some homeless person? Yeah, there's so many that are homeless in Portland. It's tent city. It really is. It really is a sad situation. Did somebody stumble in, was negligent, or was this planned? We'll probably never know.
No, probably never know. It's just something that it falls in line with so many other whoopsies that keep going on.
Yeah, and it's more than just, there's so many of these, you can't keep track, and you're not going to remember them all. And here we have multiple workers injured. This is a large explosion and fire at an oil well in North Dakota. So, is that just another strange coincidence? Is it all just because of earth changes? Is static discharge? Or is it just simply the sleeper cells being activated? Again, another situation we won't probably know for sure. It is under investigation, but so is all the other explosions, which we don't usually seem to get a good, clear follow-up on.
No, they say they're under investigation, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. Not just gas stoves. Biden administration rule would outlaw nearly all portable gas generators. Yeah, at a time when we have the country facing all sorts of power risks, of course, it's beyond obvious what's going on. I mean, you would have to be, wow, we could use all sorts of derogatory words to describe the type of intellect that wouldn't catch on to what is going on here. It's a matter of control.
Definitely.
Yeah, beyond obvious. Beyond obvious. It's just like the mob rolling into town, breaking some windows, coming back the next day and saying, it's a good thing the whole place didn't go up in fire. Now, if you wanted, we could control for you and make sure this doesn't happen again. Otherwise, it's probably going to happen again and worse.
I think so.
Yeah, this is exactly how the system works. Russian Defense Ministry, all ships sailing to Ukrainian ports will be considered military targets. Oh, is this going to be a Lusitania? Is this going to be, another Gulf of Tonkin? Yeah, could be. Absolutely. Again, it's just headlong into WW3. They're just waiting for the right timing, obviously. Ukraine situation report. Pentagon promises more Bradleys and Strikers. Yeah, I think it was another 1.3 billion. You can't keep track because they're always announcing more and more and more, going over into the black hole, making more and more profits for the military industrial complex, all the while, just also eliminating all the weapons storage for NATO and NATO allied countries. Again, pretty obvious what's going on, but still it's going on. And this is in Ukraine. This is a massive, massive explosion. And, you could hear the terror in the person's voices that were watching this. They could hear it coming in. That's just so scary. And again, this is why big cities are not a good place to be when there's global conflict underway. Even though when you do look at military history, you will note that many of the biggest battles in history didn't happen in the middle of large cities. They happened often in the countryside somewhere at a very strategic location. We got another 6.5, 6.6, depending on the source. This one is off the coast of El Salvador, Honduras. There's been an awful lot. And you could see there's 7 aftershocks in this area. There's been an awful lot of bigger quakes in certain areas. As we see, this is just, right on down the road from this, what they're calling 6.3, that was called a 6.6 before. And then again, in reference to that large one up in Alaska, that 7.2, who knows what it really was, you see this, they downgraded this. This was a 5.1 this morning. Now it's a 4.6 over in Nevada. That doesn't really surprise. And then we have this 5.1, we have this 5.6, we have this 5.3. What do we have in the San Andreas? Just a 4.6, and then up in Cascadia, 4.6. It just feels like we're on a timer. I don't know when that timer is going off, but I don't think it's going to be too long. And we have a lot of volcanoes going off. And it's just, you could just see the currently erupting. And in eruption is red, minor activity going on in orange. Yeah, this is pretty darn busy. And ultimately, all the volcanic activity will lead to cooling. Of course, right now, all you see is record heat everywhere. The oceans are boiling. And of course, we have, we've seen this before. There's a major algae outbreak down in Lake Okeechobee in Florida. That does happen regularly. The St. Johns River down over north of there, more towards Jacksonville, St. Augustine, and all that area is seeing a lot of toxic algae outbreaks too. We got industrial runoff constantly going into these rivers and these lakes. What do we expect? It's just constant poisoning going on. So of course we're going to have all these things going on. Again, it's the system. And now they're acting like they want to change the system, but we know better.
No, they just want to manipulate it and move it to where they have more control. It's pretty simple.
And they're shifting everything right now because it's all breaking down. And people's little light bulbs are going on in the heads of more and more people. And that's why they're accelerating everything into a greater speed and much more control. Over 740 people given real prison time for the recent riots in France. I think the average was about 8 months that they're going to be spending in prison. At least 25 to 30 IRS agents in tactical gear raid business in Stuart, Florida. Yeah, it was a payroll solutions place that, people when they were asked said it seemed quiet, hardly ever saw anybody coming and going. No suspicious activity at all. And then we have Ted Cruz tweeting, I told you, they're weaponizing the IRS. It's a shadow army. Well, they definitely, they're doubled their size. And the big telegraphed punch is the fact that they've been stockpiling bullets in massive quantities, in quantities that probably dwarf most militaries on this whole planet. Yeah, what does the IRS need all that for? Because they're absolutely going to be weaponized, and this is all part of that the big rollout. Meanwhile, Mother Nature striking back, taking out Pfizer Factory, 50,000 pallets destroyed. What did I hear? I thought I heard somebody say, "Thanks, Mom." Somebody must be getting a soft drink or something from their mom. Well, yeah, maybe a nice cup of tea. And here we go. Yeah, this is what you don't want. If you see this, stay far away. If you go into, Walmart and probably your clubs, this might be your only option that you're going to find there. So be very careful, because again, it has a coating applied that sinks in. Again, things might look solid, but there's nothing that's truly solid in this world. Everything is porous. Our skin is porous. Even touching this leaves residue on your skin.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to read when you find it that they make it sound like, oh, it's plant-based material, blah, 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 blah. But if you look anything that is created by Gil Bates, I wouldn't trust it. I don't care if it does have those vocabulary words in it that say plant-based. Ain't doing it.
Well, isn't arsenic plant-based?
Oh, yeah, it is, huh?
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all safe.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Careful, kids. Florida. Well, what's going on here? Well, malaria. They're worried about a malaria outbreak. So they have these funny things attached to helicopters, and they seem to be emitting a lot of chemicals over large portions of populations. Gosh, you wonder if you don't feel so good. Why do I feel sick? Why does why are my lungs burning? Yeah, Collier County. Just be aware. Just be aware, because again, toxicity, and more toxicity. So over in Scotland, they got rid of 16 million trees to develop wind farms. 16 million trees to develop wind farms. Again, trees are they might as well be our lungs, because they're the Earth's lungs. So breathing problems, cardiopulmonary system, they go hand in hand. Your heart and your lungs work together. There's an awful lot of people dying suddenly of heart problems. And all this that we see over here is all going to be contributing, large or small scale, but it all does contribute. So you have a Marine veteran breaking a 14-year silence to make an astonishing claim that his 6-man unit saw a hovering octagonal-shaped UFO being loaded with weapons by unmarked U.S. forces, who threatened them at gunpoint while serving in Indonesia in 2009. Yeah, former Marine Michael Herrera tells DailyMail.com that he saw a UFO being loaded with these weapons. Testified under oath. It doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, I've had friends firsthand that I've gotten really interesting stories from. Had this one friend, his name was Carter. He was a little bit off, but you get to be a little bit off sometimes when you serve abroad and if you see action. And he told me about witnessing a laser so powerful it could blow up a hole through a really large mountain. And this was back in the 80s. Again, some of those UFOs are ours, absolutely. But that still doesn't mean they don't have extraterrestrials on them, as well as our military.
Definitely.
And here you have more and more people watching things in the sky that are not typical in, say, past times. And so this person was watching these orbs. Now, a lot of orbs are what we would call light beings or light ships.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at these too. They really seem like they're having a great time. These are cute. These are playful. And I do like what seems to be happening is that they're showing themselves more and more. These two, I also get the emotion that they are not afraid to be seen, and they are going to play out in public more. So I feel a little bit of playful defiance, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. So do you feel that there's some sort of shift? We know that there's treaties of sort that come up on expiration dates. Do you think there's something that's changed, or?
I think there's definitely that understanding, and the information is going through multiple densities, many densities, and this is something that I wanted to get a closer look at and a closer understanding, and go through the different beings and see what they have going on, what they're being told, what they are knowing, what they're understanding. But this is definitely something that it felt very deliberate but cute at the same time.
So here we have a UAP caught on camera during a Fox News report on annual Fleet Week. And something goes flying by much faster than the planes are flying in the opposite direction, and it looks to be cloaked in what appears to be a cloud. Now, it was interesting because, Cindy picked up the vibrations right away, and it felt like she was picking up emotions, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with this one, Blue Avians came straight to the top. And again, talking about a little bit of defiance. And the Blue Avians, although I was unsure of them before I actually channeled them myself, a lot of these things, I have to feel it for myself. I have to know it for myself before I'm going to put the information out there. These guys are willing to karmically risk themselves karmically because they see what's going on. So it feels like a little bit of intimidation. It feels like a little bit of, yes, letting people know you're being watched, and a little bit of the deliberate aspect of things showing themselves to others. So this is the type of pressure that they put on in an angular way to let the controlling construct understand that no matter how much you think you're in control, you're being watched.
Absolutely. And truly, when Cindy said Blue Avians, I was like, are you sure? Because neither of us trust anybody that's been on Gaia TV. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to give you 70% truth, 30% distortion, 60%, sometimes 40% distortion. Sometimes it'll be 90% true and 10% distortion. Again, that's how they weave the web. Then again, there might be people that want to give you 100% truth, but they can't. Again, we could look to a lot of different instances. We could look to Phil Schneider. We could look to Gerald. Well, yeah, we've talked about many people that have been here and then all of a sudden they're gone. So, again, it's different when you're the one that's in the position of being in that hot seat, because it's your neck on the line right there. Anybody know what this is? I really am curious. Let's see who's going to be the first one to say what that is and remembers this thing. You're going to have to probably go back quite a bit to remember. Cindy did get it. I knew right away, but then I'm an old FART. And look, a pink dolphin. Isn't that cool? Hopefully it's not some nasty disease caused by toxic runoff.
No, this is a little sweetie. This is something that I feel they're signs. I feel these are beings that show themselves in certain vibrations. I think it's visible to all 3D. It's not like anyone cannot see it, but if you do see it, it's a little something special. Kind of like, if you view a white buffalo, it does have a sacred type of vibration to it. So when you do view it, it changes your consciousness a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And, gosh, nature is so beautiful. We put a bird feeder right up by the window, and I was doing yoga and qigong this morning, and then all of a sudden a bird sits down there, looks in, and is just telling me a story that I don't really understand, other than he's very, very happy, and I think that he's very happy we put the bird feeder out for him. But it was just such a blessing to hear that bird's song, and I know he was telling it, to us. He wanted to just say, thank you guys. Thanks for showing some love and compassion, because Mother Nature will always remember those acts, and that's part of how we are protected in these times. While we are definitely in a matrix that can be very, very aggressively dark with its agendas, Mother Nature really understands and loves all of her children.
Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean you cannot be angry or you can't be feeling very, very determined. All those emotions are very valid, but I think we need to keep in mind, how are we directing them? Because if you direct them in certain ways, it just comes right back to you again. But we can take these emotions and we can turn them into something positive for our own lives. And it is beautiful to watch nature. I mean, even go out and look at something as simple as a flower blooming. That just makes life a little bit sweeter. And when you have a little bird, like when he's hopping up the stairs right now, they come up here and they sing to you, you get that energy inside of you, and that's what you're reflecting out. And guess what? You're going to get more of that too. So, yeah.
As always, guys, thanks again for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. New video going up on Patreon today for Patreons only as well. Hope you'll join us over there. Much love. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.